Hey everybody, we're going to get started just about a minute early to go here. Just wanted to welcome everybody on. This is Spencer from, longtailuniversity.com is how you definitely know me, but also I blog over at nichepursuits.com and of course creator of Longtail Pro. And today we're going to, you can see it here, how to use simple tweaks to your keywords to make them extremely low competition. So we'll give everybody just another minute or so to come on. Maybe we'll do some quick sound check. If you guys are listening in and can hear me, can you just in the chat box put yes or hey, I can hear you, something like that, so we know that everything's coming through. So here under the questions, yep, I am seeing lots of yeses come in. So very good. And just some other housekeeping things for me. I'm going to see if I can expand this box. Yep, I can. So, all right. So it looks like everybody can hear me. And yes, I am recording this. So if you're not able to stay for the duration, hopefully you can, because we will have some back and forth questions and answers also throughout the presentation. We're going to ask for some examples. So if you can stick around, that would be great. Very much. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started officially here. It's just after our starting time, so we'll go ahead and jump into that. Again, my name's Spencer Hawes, creator of longtailuniversity.com and Longtail Pro as well, the keyword research tool. And today the presentation is going to be how to use simple tweaks to your keywords to make them extremely low competition. And before we jump into that, I do want to introduce my co-panelists here. I've got Perrin Carroll, who was very instrumental in getting Longtail University up and running, and you probably know him from my blog and podcast. Perrin, why don't you jump in and just say hello to everybody?
Hey, how's it going? Glad you guys are here, especially from Longtail University. We spent a long time getting up and running, and hopefully we can do some live examples and answer some of the questions we've been getting. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be good to get you to know you guys just a little bit better. I've also got Jake Kane with me. Jake is the sort of marketing and branding manager for Longtail Pro. He's been on my team now for, what is it, about 9 months, I
Yep.
think. So Jake, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hey guys, Jake Kane here. As Spencer said, I spend most of my time over at longtailpro.com doing the blogging and content there, as well as a few other things. So happy to be here today, coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Very nice. And I am, maybe I'll give everybody info where I'm from. I'm from Washington State, the Tri-Cities area, and it is always interesting to know where our listeners are from. So if you guys feel like chatting in the box, if you can just share where you're from, whether you're in the U.S. or otherwise, I imagine there's plenty of people outside the U.S. as well. So uh, yeah, go ahead and put where you're from. It'd be great to know who's listening in. So I know Jake is, or not Jake, but Perrin is out in Chicago. We've got Ann from Atlanta, Rob from Orange County, California, Jill from the Philippines. It's 1 a.m. Thanks for staying up. And Indra from Indonesia. It's midnight there. Man, appreciate that very much. Eric from Saskatchewan. Awesome. Ernest from Las Vegas. Ah, we got another Washington State. Patricia from Bellingham. Very cool. Um, another Jill from Southern Arizona, from a small town with a population of 27. Awesome. Glad you have an internet connection out there. I know how those small towns can be sometimes. Anyways, several others of you from around the U.S. and internationally as well. Can everybody see my screen? No, I don't think that they can. Let's see. There we go. All right, you should in just 1 second be able to see my screen. Perfect. Very good. That's why I have listeners here. Make sure I'm doing everything right. So now you can see my screen. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. Perfect. Everybody's saying they can see it. So let's jump into it. First of all, I just want to reiterate the importance of long tail traffic. The traffic really is in long tail keywords. 70% of all keyword traffic does come from long tail keywords. And here's a chart that I want to show you that explains that very well. So you have your very fat head terms, these very popular 1 or 2 word phrases. They actually only get about 18.5% of the overall search engine traffic, as you can see from this chart. And then sort of that middle phrases, those middle keywords, the chunky middle is 11.5%. And then over 70% of keyword traffic comes from the long tail. And actually on the left-hand side of the chart, you can see the number of monthly searches. Up at the top, you got millions and hundreds of thousands for these big fat head terms. And then as you get to the hundreds, even 10 searches or 5 searches is this long tail. So these very, very small keywords, in the fact that they only get searched for maybe 5 or 10 or 100 times per month, make up such a huge proportion of traffic overall. So if you are able to tap into this long tail, these long tail phrases, you can really grow your website quickly. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Well, here's one other fact that I wanted to share as well, is that new keywords are being created or searched for all the time. Sorry about that. Quick audio issue there. So new
Also, real
keyword.
quick, Spencer,
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
Jake and I can't see the chat to monitor questions. I don't know if you have a setting on your end.
Um, I'm not sure if I do. I may have to manage the chat on my own. Let me, if I can figure that out, I will. It's under the questions box. But if you can't see that, I will. I'll manage that on
And
my
while
own.
you're looking for that, maybe I can give an example from a couple of the sites we worked on that some of you guys may have seen on nichepursuits.com. So if you've been following along with us, we did a big case study that was many months long on a site that I own called A Penny Shaved. And we spent a long time ranking for some primary keywords, and we did really well, and those were successful. But in the end, about 90% of the traffic came from something like 4,400 different long tail keywords. And these were keywords with, 5, 10, 15 searches a month, and they're things that I just naturally started ranking for part of the time, but also there were some really long tail ones that I was targeting. So to give you an idea of just how much traffic comes from long tail keywords, for me, for my site, it was about 90% or more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And so, um, so I was mentioning just how 20% of searches on Google every single day have never been searched for before. And if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what does, because um, that's an amazing stat. These are not only new phrases, but you have to assume that nobody's going to be targeting these phrases because they've never been searched for before. So if you strategically think about your website, you should be able to come up with lots of keyword phrases that your target market, even though there might only be a few people searching for those every single month, you can get extremely low competition and rank right away for these keywords because nobody else is targeting them quite right. And then just as a side note for Perrin and Jake, again, the box for the questions is called questions, not the chat box. So I don't know if you see the questions box, but either way, I'll be able to monitor that. So we're going to talk about how to find long tail keywords, or I've shared how to do that in Longtail University. We gave a great cheat sheet there that if you haven't utilized, you really should be utilizing that. This cheat sheet on where to find seed keywords. And I just wanted to run through a couple of quick examples, and then we're going to dive into doing those simple tweaks that I mentioned to make them extremely low competition. So where do you find your seed keywords, your core keywords? There's so many different places. I'm not going to go over all of these, but if you don't have an idea for a website at all, I mean, you can literally start as easy as looking around your house, which is one of the examples that I have here. So as I just look around my room that I'm located at, I can see on my desk I have a pack of DVDs. So that could be a seed keyword DVD pack. I have a whiteboard. I have a hat rack. All of those, I have a camera and a camera carrying bag, carrying case. So all of those could be seed keywords that I start with. And then from there, of course, I would expand out and make them lower competition or longer tail phrases that are easy to rank for. And Jake or Perrin, did you have maybe any examples at this point of things that you've either done or ideas from this cheat sheet that you could use?
Yeah, I've got something. One of the ones on the bottom mentions scoping out other niche sites. That's something I've done time and time again with sites that I own personally. And a lot of you guys, if you've done this for a while, when you start looking at keywords, a lot of times you'll see a site that you're going to be competing with that's maybe not all that great, something that you can beat. But a lot of times you can use those. If you see a site that appears in a lot of the search results that you're going to be going after, go check out that site and see the other stuff that they're writing about. There's some tools that can make that easier, but even just doing it on your own, you can kind of dig into some of the different categories they've got, and you might start seeing some topics and some keyword ideas come out of that. That's something I've used myself, because if it is a site that doesn't have a lot of authority, it's a niche site or whatever, a lot of times you can beat them out if you write better content, make a better user experience overall. So it's a great way to kind of get your juices flowing a little bit.
Yeah, great idea there,
Yeah,
Jake.
and I also okay, and I also have made a practice of diving into niche forums and magazines, and we did a tutorial on SEMrush for the Niche Pursuits blog, and you saw a really good example of this in that video where we looked at some hunting forums, which is a niche that I'm not familiar with at all, and we found a lot of articles and questions about nozzlers. And going into that research, I had no idea what a nozzler was. I would have never thought of it on my own because I wasn't familiar with the niche in the market. So looking at the forums and the magazines and seeing what discussions were actually taking place gave me a great seed keyword, and led to a lot of awesome modified long-tail keywords that would have made great articles had I actually been building a hunting site. So, um, you know, thinking outside the box and broadening your own horizons is a good way to do it.
Yep, another great example. And so we're not going to dive into too much more about finding seed keywords per se, because we've covered that in the course quite a bit. We want to take it a step further. Really, once you've found a seed keyword, how do you make the keywords have a longer tail? As I pointed to that graph previously, once you start getting into that 70% tail, things have much lower competition and are going to be easier to rank for. And so the answer of how to make your keywords easier to rank for and have a longer tail is keyword modifiers. And that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time, is talking about keyword modifiers. Why do these keyword modifiers work so well? Number one, is that they have that lower competition. There's just not tons of websites that are targeting these really long tail keyword phrases, and so you can rank quicker and easier. The second thing is that, believe it or not, even though there's less traffic, there's less searches per month, that is, for these keywords, they're actually more targeted and they have better buyer intent. And so better when people type in a really long phrase, exactly what they're searching for. And so if you're selling the product that they're searching for, if you're an affiliate for that product, or even if you just have an AdSense website and you target an article specifically to that phrase, you're likely to show up and have very relevant advertising. And you know that these people are looking for that product and are willing to buy or click on ads, that sort of thing. And so there's,
Real quick, Spencer.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's also some evidence that Google is using different metrics to test how well you answer the question and giving you ranking boosts for that. And the metric that I've been reading about is whether or not people go back to Google and search for that thing again or click on another result in the SERPs. So if you're answering a more specific question that you're more likely to answer from a more specific query, that person, that reader, whatever they're searching for, is less likely to go click through to another result. And the research from Moz and all those big SEO research firms is showing that that can help you rank. So even if you're not going after like buying intent keywords where you're trying to get someone to purchase something, you can still give yourself a ranking boost with these informational terms just because they're more specific.
Absolutely. Great point. There really is a lot of advantages to using these longer tail phrases. And so now we're going to talk about the simple tweaks that you can make to really any type of keyword and the tweaks that you should be making to your targeted keywords to make them much, much lower competition. Now, this is directly from a cheat sheet that we shared on Longtail University, but we wanted to dive into it specifically with some live examples to show you how you can use it and why it works so well. Now, this is just, if you have sort of buying footprints or keyword modifiers that you can use that are targeting buyers is essentially what this particular slide is all about. So the way that you use this is you take a seed keyword, and that can be anything. I talked about camera cases, Perrin talked about nozzlers, and if, for example, if we talk about laptops, laptops is a seed keyword, and clearly that's going to be, we're never going to rank for laptop, but maybe if we start adding some modifiers, we can turn it into a phrase that we can rank for, and also a phrase that perhaps, just naturally keyword tools aren't pulling up. These are modifiers we can use to find keywords that are less sought after by other people. So I just wanted to run through that example. So laptops, we could add best laptops. We could add best laptop brands. Again, I'm just using the phrases from this screen here, the best brands. And then one of these is for, and you can insert a hobby here. So if we used best laptops for graphic designers or best laptops for college students, these are all phrases that we can use. And so now I actually want to go ahead and pull these right up in Longtail Pro, and we can start taking a look at search volume and that sort of thing. What I did, and hopefully you can all see that here, I've already got several keywords for laptops pulled up. And so, you can see laptops, it gets searched for a ton, 246,000 times per month, but the keyword competitiveness is 86. Really nearly impossible to rank for. Even best laptops is extremely competitive, but it's going down. And then best laptops for college students, that modifier gets down to 46, but still probably too competitive. And then finally, if we add another modifier, best laptops for college students under 500, now we're getting into the range where, perhaps that's worth targeting that search phrase. It gets searched for only 210 times per month. It's getting into that longer tail. And then as we go down even further, best laptops for graphic designers under 300. The Google keyword tool doesn't even show any search volume on this. So generally speaking, it is going to be a low search volume keyword, but it's going to be very, very easy to rank for. And again, I want to go back to this this keyword modifier chart here because it really is very powerful. And this one at the bottom where it says under, using prices, how I did with best laptops under $500, under $300 or 100. You can honestly, in most niches, if you're selling a product, you can have a dozen articles that use this modifier under, just using that modifier. And so it's very powerful.
Can I pop in here real quick, Spencer?
Yes.
So I think I wanted to make the point that by adding modifiers and creating these longer tail keywords, you're not giving up on those big juicy ones. So maybe we can go back to that Longtail Pro screen where we had the laptops keywords. So we ended up with this really awesome keyword that looks fairly low competition, that has a decent search volume of like 40, best laptops for graphic designers. This is a really good keyword. We have a really good chance of ranking for it. But if we target this keyword, best laptops for graphic designers under $300, actually maybe a better example would be best laptops for college students under $500. By targeting that long tail keyword, which we also still have a pretty good chance of ranking for because it's only a KC33, we're still targeting best laptops for college students. So say that article you write for best laptops for college students under $500 does really well. You maybe get a couple links to it. It has really good on-page metrics, low bounce rate, high time on site, that sort of thing. If Google likes it, you may still rank for the keyword best laptops for college students. So you can target them both, but by adding modifiers, you can increase your odds of targeting these longer tail phrases while you're still going for these big juicy keywords. So that was the point I wanted to make first. But also, I wanted to tell people not to just use the modifiers we've listed on this chart. You can go find your own. You'll probably run across stuff in your niche while you're doing research, and even just brainstorming can bring you lots of good ideas. So don't limit yourself to these that we've listed, and definitely go try to find your own, because in whatever market you're in, there's going to be some unique, profitable modifiers you can use.
No, thanks
Yeah,
for.
and I'll just
Go ahead, Jake.
continuing on. Sure. Continuing on what Perrin just said, an example of that, something I've been writing about a lot recently, is another buyer keyword that you may not think of is when people are looking for problems or complaints about specific products or models and things like that. I think those are buyer keywords as well, because a lot of times if somebody's looking for a problem with a certain laptop or something like that, they might be in the market to buy a different one, or they're ultimately still trying to make a buying decision. Are the problems bad enough that I shouldn't buy this? And so a lot of times people start out searching with some of these negative type things, but they're really looking to buy. And I love the story. One of my favorite content marketers is a guy named Marcus Sheridan, has some great YouTube videos out there, but he tells the story about when he was with a pool company, one of their most profitable blog posts on their site was problems with fiberglass pools, and they sold fiberglass pools, and he had all the numbers where that had generated like millions of dollars in sales of people that came there from that. So the same thing works across any niche. Just because it's a negative thing, you still have an opportunity to pull in that traffic by addressing that query and ultimately get a sale out of that or convert a lead or whatever your goal is.
Yeah, and I think I've seen people using a similar tactic where they'll find a really popular product in their niche and use the modifier alternative to. So if you have, like a HP laptop, the modifier might be alternative to HP model whatever, and then you can list all the best laptops that are similar but different, because that person is really far along in the buying process. They want to buy something, they just know that they don't want to buy this particular thing. So I think it's a good strategy.
Absolutely. Thanks for the input, guys. We're going to move on from this particular type of footprint to some other tweaks that you can do for more informational type keywords. And at the end, I'm going to stress that there's a lot more types of modifiers than what we have listed here, obviously, but these are really some great core modifiers that you can and should be using on your website. So again, we could come up with some examples here, and one that we had thought of previous is CrossFit. So if we have a website about CrossFit, certainly there's going to be a lot of searches related to information about CrossFit. So you're never going to rank for CrossFit, and maybe not even CrossFit training, which it technically is one of the modifiers we have here. So you're going to have to get a little bit more creative. You could do things like, how do you do CrossFit? CrossFit training tutorials. Another one we had thought of is CrossFit versus weightlifting, or perhaps compare CrossFit to weightlifting. And so I want to, again, pull up some examples, but I know I'm brushing over a lot of these modifiers very quickly, but I do think that if you use these cheat sheets specifically for your market, you can look at how you're using your keywords to start modifying those, make them longer tails. Maybe you're going to use the word eliminate or get rid of, those types of things to add before or after your core phrase to start to make those a little bit easier to rank for. So let's go ahead and pull up Longtail Pro. Again, I had punched in some CrossFit keywords here that you can see. And as we get down here in the longer tail, it shows no search volume, but I've learned through experience that doesn't necessarily mean that nobody's searching for these, or what it does mean is that perhaps it's a newer phrase, or again, anything under probably 20 searches per month, Google just doesn't have a lot of data there. And so even if the data shows 0 searches per month, if it's something that you know from your market and your experience that people are searching for, or it's generally fits one of these keyword modifiers, there probably is some search volume out there. So, we started with CrossFit. You could go to CrossFit training. You could add another modifier of guide and go to CrossFit training guide to make it a little bit lower competition, and then do versus CrossFit versus weightlifting. So we're down now into the feasible range of a keyword that we could potentially target. How do you do CrossFit? Yeah, it only gets searched for 20 times per month, but it's a much lower competition type keyword. And then you can just go on down from there, eventually ending up with how to get rid of CrossFit soreness faster. And so really, I just started at our our informational footprints cheat sheet. That's how I got all these CrossFit keywords, is I just started, how to, and then get rid of, and then CrossFit, and then I actually use Google Instant to kind of find some related phrases to CrossFit. So CrossFit soreness was one of those. So I'm getting a question here about local searches. Yes, local searches in my case is the United States. So, it shows the local searches here because when I created my campaign, I had selected US. I could get global search volume here as well, but whatever country you select, that's going to be your local. So if you had selected UK, that's going to be the search volume for the UK. But if you want to see global, so worldwide, you'd go over here, check the global searches box, and then you would fetch those to get the worldwide volume. So hopefully that answers that question there. And then you can see the worldwide search volume here. So that just goes up for all of these keywords as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our final keyword modifier sort of cheat sheet, and this is for e-commerce keywords. And again, I think these examples are very, very important. And again, I'm kind of going through a few very quickly, but if you get the general idea, this is a tactic that you can tap into over and over and over again for as long as you're creating content for your website. If you're only finding keywords that have a very high competitiveness factor or look extremely competitive, by just adding one of these words as a modifier before or after that keyword phrase, suddenly you can have a great keyword. And again, you can do that for every piece of content that you write. So let's take an example of CB radio. Our friend Andrew Udarian over at ecommercefuel.com has publicly shared, one of his e-commerce sites that targets CB radios over at rightchannelradios.com, which we shared in Longtail University as well. So you may have had a chance to check that out. But let's go ahead and say we are targeting CB radios. That phrase by itself is probably going to be too competitive. But if we start adding these modifiers like buy CB radios or CB radios for sale, deals for CB radios, where to purchase CB radios, again, I'm just taking these keyword modifiers from this cheat sheet and immediately hopefully making these better phrases to actually target. So let's go ahead and pull up Longtail Pro and see what we were able to get with CB radios. So you can see that here, that simply as we make these phrases longer tail, we get so many different options that you could be targeting, special promo for CB radios, discount CB radio for sale, all of these things that are really great phrases that you're going to rank for much quicker than just CB radios. So Jake or Perrin, anything else that you guys wanted to jump in with at this point?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that for the searches that you're seeing that have low volume, those typically work better in bigger markets. So things like fitness, health, pets, photography, like these really huge markets, even if something has zero searches, it's usually pretty safe to target because someone's going to be searching for that, and those are the markets where those 20% of searches that no one's ever heard before are being searched. If you have a really specific market, you might want to stay away from those. Like if you're writing only about a very specific type of tile flooring or something, that zero searches might be a little bit more accurate. So I just didn't want people to go see zero searches and target everything regardless of that. But if you're writing in a big consumer market, those will certainly still bring in some great traffic.
Great point, for sure. And so the final thing that we have kind of touched on a little bit is just checking the competition. Again, it does come down to just because you have a long phrase doesn't necessarily mean that it's low competition. So you do need to go through the process of actually checking, as I like to do, the keyword competitiveness. Now, there's other places, of course, that you can perhaps check the competition. You can do that on your own if you have your own system. But if you're using Longtail Pro and in particular Longtail Platinum, this chart shows you the keyword competitiveness calculation and what you should be looking at. And so if you get a keyword or a KC number between 0 and 10, that means there's really no competition. You should absolutely be targeting that keyword. If it has between 10 and 20, that means that it is extremely low competition. This is something that very few, if any, of the ranking websites are probably targeting that exact phrase. Between 20 and 30 still is low competition. And so really anything 30 or under is something that it gets a green light from me, almost always. It's just something, if I see it that it's in that range, I'll go ahead and target it and write an article about that. In the 30 to 40 range is where I start to get more hesitant. If it's over 35, I usually avoid that. If it's under 35, I dig deeper. I'll look at the actual top 10 results and maybe see who's targeting it well, what types of websites are there. And so a keyword that has 33, 34, I may target it or I may not. It kind of depends. And so that's where you start to get into the range that needs more in-depth research. Once you get beyond 40, it's, as I call it here, either somewhat high competition, very high, or don't even think about it at that point. There's so many keywords out there that if you're using these modifiers, there's no reason that you should ever be targeting a keyword that has a 40 or above KC, an average keyword competitiveness volume. So let's go ahead and pull up our examples one more time. And let's go back to maybe the laptops examples. And again, the average KC numbers are here in the far right-hand column. You can see how they're getting lower and lower. So let's pull up this 33. I would certainly target these down here. This one that has, a 15 or a 28, but this 33 is a maybe. And so if I open this up, the things that I would be looking at are, the domain authority. Are any of these websites overall very weak? And that's, usually websites maybe under 30. And so I do actually see a couple here. This lptps.com and bestlaptopadvisor.com perhaps are lower competition, and I usually verify that with the site age. So this one's only 4 months old, this one's about a year and a half old, and then of course page authority. So I do see a couple of sites here that are weaker. So this is one that very well I would go ahead and jump into and target this particular keyword, because I am seeing that weakness there, some low authority and low juice page links, that sort of thing. So I'd go ahead and target that keyword phrase. So I just wanted to review that once again because it is so important. You can't just say, because I have a long tail phrase, I can target it. Well, you do need to be looking at the competition still. So what do you do with these modified keywords? Well, first of all, obviously, you can take them and write brand new articles on these keyword phrases. And that's what most people are probably going to do. You find a keyword, then you write a great article on it. On the other hand, if you have a website that has maybe hundreds of articles and they're underperforming, you're not getting very much search traffic, there's no reason you can't go back to your old articles. Maybe you were targeting best laptops and you're just not getting any traffic whatsoever. Maybe you can modify that article to be best laptops under $500, or one of these phrases that we found. What was that? Best laptops for college students under $500. Perhaps you can tweak that article so that it targets that new keyword that you found. And you can do that through all your old articles, and hopefully they'll start performing. I mean, here you have all this content, and hopefully with a simple tweak and change just to target a better keyword, you can start seeing some actual return from that content. And then finally, the other thing that you can do with these keywords is you can use multiple related keyword phrases all in one article. So let's say you write a massive resource of 3,000 or 4,000 words long. It's going to need lots of different subheadings and sections and really latent type keyword phrases that you can insert throughout the article so that you rank for multiple keywords in that one article. And that really is a way where you can have one article get lots of traffic because it's combining, let's say, 5 or 7 long tail keyword phrases that are all very, very related. And then you can just combine all the traffic from those and hopefully be ranking for several keywords from that one article.
Yeah, and so an example of that might be in our laptop example, if we decided to target the best laptops for college students under $500, maybe that article ends up being a really big resource on laptops for college students, and we have a heading for best laptop for college students under $500, but we also have headings for best laptops for college students under $100 or $200, so that in that same article, because those keywords are so related, we're targeting lots of different modified long tail keywords.
Thank you for jumping in there. So I actually want to get some feedback now from all of you listeners out there. So if you can maybe come back, I'm interested in diving into any examples that you have from your website. So if you can go ahead and put in the chat box, the question box there, any seed keywords that you have for your existing website, or any just seed keywords that you might have that you've thought of off the top of your head. We're going to take those seed keywords, those suggestions that you have, and we're going to try and modify those to make them much lower competition. We're going to kind of go through the same exercise that we went previously to hopefully drill home this strategy that we've already shared. So
yeah, maybe while we are waiting on some suggestions here, I can share an example of finding a good modifier for a really specific niche, because I think it's important to remember that every niche is going to have its own unique modifiers. So one of the ones I was thinking of is I was just imagining I had a baseball site, and so I was kind of brainstorming things I might want to know about if I had a baseball site. And so one of the modifiers I eventually found was throw a baseball, something that people obviously would be interested in if they're looking at a baseball site. And using that modifier, I found keywords like throw a baseball harder, throw a baseball farther, throw a baseball 300 feet, throw a baseball like a pro, correct way to throw a baseball. All of these could be different articles. Or maybe there's one big resource with lots of subheadings that targets these keywords and we use it for some content marketing or something. But that's just one example, and I think it illustrates the importance of just looking for really specific modifiers for your niche to double down on your long tail traffic.
That is a good point. Just because we've shared a cheat sheet here doesn't mean that for your particular market there isn't additional modifiers, as Perrin mentioned. So you need to really drill in on your own market. We've got lots of great examples that have been coming in here. I'll read off a few and then we'll pick one here. We've got motocross, foosball, teachers, cycling, t-shirts, mobility aids, janitorial services, darts, 50cc scooter, a few others here, gold, dirt bikes, natural hair. Let's see, any that jumped out at us here. Either maybe foosball, scooters, I don't know. Any jump out at you guys? Let's try foosball. Why not? So what I would do is, well, you have something there, Jake?
No, I just foosball. It's fun. Good game.
Yeah, why not? You know,
Yeah.
I love foosball. So we'll pull up our modifier cheat sheet here and see what we can find. I don't know how high the search volume is for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and just do a bunch at once. So we'll do foosball and where did my cheat sheet go? So then we've got the word best, top. So let's do some of these brands, reviews. Let's start with that and maybe under. So we've got best foosball table. We've got what was the other one? Foosball table reviews. Best foosball table under. And again, if I knew this market, I would know the prices better. But I'm going to say $500. I don't know. How much do foosball tables cost? And maybe brands. So we'll do best foosball brands. Okay, so just very quickly, using just this one particular cheat sheet, we could go to the other one and put foosball tables for sale or discount on foosball tables. Anyways, and again, maybe I should actually show the cheat sheet. I'm not just coming up with that off the top of my head. I'm actually using this cheat sheet, this, for sale, discount, that deals for that. That's basically where I got all of these keyword modifiers. So if I go ahead and hit generate keywords, that's going to go out and do its thing. And so let me see if anybody else made any other comments here. Yeah, several other, lots of people are saying they love foosball. Yep, absolutely. And so, all right, I've got this screen pulled up here as well. Let's see how we did. So you can kind of see that, again, the search volume is going down. So, foosball gets searched for 22,000 times per month. Maybe I'll go through here and start calculating the KC as I talk about these. So you can see, I'm assuming that it's going to be more difficult. Yeah, it's got a 55, so yeah, I'm not even going to think about that. But best foosball table, maybe that's something that's lower competition. It is 31. That's and that still gets searched for 880 times per month. So that could even be basically a seed keyword that you build an entire site around, is targeting best foosball table, and then you could have other secondary articles like foosball table reviews, which is even lower competition, still gets searched for 720 times per month, but it has a KC of 27. Foosball tables for sale is actually a little more competitive than the reviews one, probably because there's a lot of e-commerce websites actually selling tables. I can pull that up. Let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, we've got Walmart, Sears, Dick's Sporting Goods, Amazon, eBay. So yeah, you've got tons of big retailers online stores. So that's why that's a little bit more competitive, because it's less informational and it's more, let's just buy this. And so you've got all the big retailers that are actually selling the foosball tables ranking. But best foosball table under 500. Look at that. I actually found a keyword that has some search volume. I just threw out the number 500. So that probably is about the range people are looking to pay for a foosball table. If you were going into this market, you could have probably an article for best foosball table under 300, best foosball table under 200, best foosball table under 1,000, or maybe 2,000. I don't know if they sell, deluxe luxury version of foosball tables. But yeah, no, I think, and somebody's saying they do. Oh, and Mark is asking, what's a secondary page? Well, basically, so let's say that we decided we're going to create a brand new website that the main article, or one of the main pillar articles that we write, is targeting best foosball table. So we're going to write an in-depth, 3,000 word article. It's going to have a comparison chart that maybe has the top 5 to 10 foosball tables that are available, and we're going to create, a nice, beautiful chart, and make it very easy for people to select and make a buying decision. And by doing that, hopefully we have great content that will rank quickly in Google. A secondary article is perhaps one that isn't the main focus. We're maybe trying to build links and putting tons of effort and energy into ranking for best foosball table, but maybe foosball table reviews or best foosball table under 500, maybe we're not writing quite an as in-depth article, or we're not doing all the outreach to try and do link building. It's just something that's a little bit secondary. So I don't know if that answers the question, or if Jake or Perrin, you want to jump in and give a better definition of what a secondary article. Actually, Mark's saying thank you there, so I think he got it.
And I'm also doing some research alongside of you. I just wanted to share a few of the things that I found using some different modifiers. So one of the ones I found was best foosball table for kids, which is a relatively low competition keyword. It's right at the sort of threshold there. It's at 30 and it gets 20 searches a month. But there are lots of other good signs in the SERPs to show that you could rank for it. And using that modifier, you might then that might lead you to, best foosball table for professionals, best foosball table for offices, because that's the thing. Facebook has a foosball table in their office, and it's becoming a bigger trend. But I also found some really good informational keywords, like best foosball shots, which is, that might be an article of curated YouTube videos, or best foosball players. So you might be able to compile a list on professional foosball players or foosball tournaments, or do an interview or something. So using this one modifier kind of led me to other modifiers when I was looking at this, and it gave me opportunities to diversify the content of the site away from just e-commerce keywords, if that's what I was doing, and maybe get into more informational, display ad, content marketing type stuff, which could give you a different goal or metric or whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you wanted to build out a huge resource on foosball tables, yeah, you're going to go beyond just doing product reviews and all of those things into those informational, like you mentioned, how to play foosball, how to do, if there's any particular trick shots, you can, how to do this type of shot, all sorts of things that you could go into to target these long tail phrases that are hopefully lower competition, and you're still targeting the people that you want to, that can come and buy a foosball table. So great example. I think that's about all that we have time for, at least walking through a complete live example. I would like to go ahead and open it up now to everybody out there for any additional questions that you might have. Oh, I didn't show my my cat picture there. So that was to get you guys to volunteer, but you did it anyway, so thank you. I appreciate that. But as a reminder, please use the cheat sheet that we've given you. It's in longtailuniversity.com. You just log in there. You can check that out if you're ever stuck for how to modify your keywords. Please use this cheat sheet. Now, so are there any additional questions out there that we haven't answered at this point? Now's your chance to go ahead and type in the chat box to ask anything else of us that you might want to hear about while we're here. I do have somebody asking if they could get a PDF for the sheet, and yes, I know that we can do that. Perrin, I think you might have PDFs for that. Maybe you can add those to Longtail University.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. And
PDFs for the cheat sheet, right?
correct.
Yeah, if you go into Longtail University, they are saved as PDFs, I believe. I will double check. They're at least saved as images that you can download. You
Yeah,
just right click and they're all curated by lesson and also down at the bottom after everything they are kind of listed as a bunch again. But we can also put them as PDFs too.
definitely. Yeah, right now there is image files, but yeah, PDFs would be good. So somebody else is asking, is it worth adding your local town or search area to your keyword? And yeah, I mean, it definitely is. You know, kind of depends, right? If your business is a local business, you're a dentist, you know, you're only interested in people that are within driving distance of your dental location. So it depends on your business. And if you have a local business, then yeah, you probably should be adding your local city or town as a modifier. But that also doesn't mean, and again, this goes back to what Jake was talking about with Marcus Sheridan. He, you know, built fiberglass swimming pools, so he only wanted people in his state or within a few hour radius. But he wrote lots of articles that weren't just saying, okay, fiberglass pools for people in Virginia. He just wrote about fiberglass pools, and so you can get tons of traffic nationally and internationally, and that will help you just build authority, get more traffic. And so I will say that yes, you should target your local city, but you should not only target your local city.
Yeah, and I've been experimenting with the expanding general sites with those types of keywords, and I don't know yet if it's going to work, but I can give you the modifiers I've been using. So for example, if you were doing let's see, what's a service? If you had a site on keeping your house clean or organization, you might be able to write articles on different maid services in different cities. So maid service in Rhode Island or maid service in New York City or whatever. And the simple modifier of just in can really give you tons of cities. In fact, if you use that modifier in the include form on Longtail Pro, you will get almost totally locations, and these are usually very low competition keywords according to the data. I have found that sites that are ranking for those also are doing quite a bit of local citations. And if you have a business, you really need to be doing local citations and making sure that your NAP data, your name, address, phone number stuff is correct. But they can work, and just using the simple modifier in can give you lots of those like really long tail location-based keywords.
Awesome, thank you. So we've got a few other questions here. Somebody is asking, Keith is asking if my audience is 50% Canadian and 50% US. Should I stick with Google US? That that kind of depends on what you're asking. For researching purposes, for looking at search volume and that sort of thing, I would look at Google US, most certainly. For who you're targeting as far as you're trying to get these people to your website, the answer is really both, right? I mean, there's no reason that if you write about best foosball tables, you can't rank in both the US and in Canada and worldwide. People in Brazil are going to find you and wherever. So when you rank in Google, very often you're going to be ranking internationally for that phrase. Okay. Okay, got a couple other questions here. Just want to see if there's any that we can uh, talk about specifically here. So somebody is asking about what's the best way to build backlinks to these keywords. And so that's not really the content of this particular webinar, but sure, we can address that. So you've got really long tail keyword phrases. How can you go about building links? And Jake and Perrin, I'm going to let you guys jump in if you have any ideas, but there's so many different ways. I mean, it does start with creating great, valuable content. And particularly if you can find sites that are already ranking for, or sites that are already getting links for similar phrases. So maybe your competing sites have already written great articles and they're getting lots of backlinks. You can then go out and find who's linking to their articles and reach out and ask them to link to your articles as well. Any other ideas there? I mean, there's tons, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So my current model, which seems to be working, and a model very similar, and this is pretty much the exact model we are using on our new site for our Amazon FBA program, the site that we're building around our FBA product, is not to build external links to these really long tail keywords because we're trying to target keywords that are so low competition that they can rank based on the authority of the domain alone. So instead, we're building big linkable assets that we want to build 10, 15, 50, 100 links to, and we're using those big, impressive content pieces to build links to those big articles, and then from those big articles, we use internal links to boost the authority of our really low competition, really low volume keywords. And it's just because uh, or that works because, or we have to do that because it's really tough to build a link to an article on Best Food Vol Tables 2015. Most of the people who are writing that sort of content are also trying to rank for those keywords. So it's just tough to build keywords to those long tail pieces. Plus, if the volume is that low, 20, 40 searches a month, it may not even be worth it. So what we prefer to do currently, or what our current strategy is to use big linkable assets to attract links en masse, and then use internal links to boost the authority of those really low competition keywords.
yep, great points. And related question somebody is asking, just based on our experience, how much promotion or backlinks is needed for a keyword competition in the 10 to 20 range compared to the 20 to 30 range? Well, it really does depend, but usually, honestly, in the 10 to 20 range, I've ranked for those keywords with no backlinks. Those are
Yeah, like nothing.
many times just by targeting the exact phrase, that's all you need to rank. And even in the 20 to 30 range, certainly as you get closer to 30, you're going to need some more. But again, it kind of depends. But as low as 10, right? 10 sort of backlinks. So it's very minimal. We're not talking about hundreds of links here for these low competition phrases that are usually needed. There was another relevant question here by Don. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but essentially he's saying that he's creating a big site. He has 10 relevant categories. Each category has 10 subtopics. Saying there's the drawback is in order for the site to remain search engine optimized, the keywords are all high competition. I'm not sure why that has to be the case. He says, how would you suggest I optimize the site with low competition keywords and still maintain the flow? Well, yeah, you can still, I guess he's saying, as far as his structure, he's got these big main keywords that he's targeting, and then underneath those, he's targeting his hopefully lower competition keywords. If that's not what you're doing, that's what I would suggest is under sort of your big umbrella, maybe, you are trying to target, laptops or whatever. Then under that is where you're going to create all your sub articles that are very low competition. So I don't know if I'm answering that properly just because I don't fully understand the question, but uh, my answer is I would target head phrases very, very minimally. Do as much as you can to include all your head phrases in other lower competition articles. So instead of just laptops, it's going to be best laptops under $500. So you are actually targeting both laptops and, of course, the longer phrase.
Yeah,
So,
and I also think it's worth mentioning that we've been in a ton of markets now, and we haven't yet found a market where there weren't low competition keywords uh, that we could find just by using modifiers. I mean, that's our real business process, and we might start with a big juicy seed keyword, but we always find low competition keywords with modifiers. And if there is a market where you can't do that, I don't think we've found it yet.
yeah, no, absolutely. There always should be in any market. And so we'll kind of wrap up here. It's been about an hour, and that's how long we promised to go. Final comment here. Keith mentioned that he loves the cheat sheets. He says, I've already found great keywords using them just while listening to this webinar. Awesome. So thank you, Keith, for listening in, and for everybody else listening in. Go out, use the cheat sheets. They work very well. And I will again emphasize, like Perrin did earlier, that the modifiers may be different in your market. So you will, we've done our best to kind of give you a general structure, and these cheat sheets work across hundreds and probably thousands of different markets and niches, but you may be able to do even better with your own original modifiers in your particular market. So it just depends. So thank you all very much for staying up late or getting up early or just taking time out of your day to listen to us as we talk about how to take your keywords and do some tweaks and make them super low competition. So go ahead and check out longtailuniversity.com, go through the lessons there. We will be doing a couple of more webinars, one next week and one the following week. So we'll be sending out emails again for those, so pay attention early next week for emails. So thank you very much, and everybody have a great day.